Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Elitist Geek. Not water, pear cider. Not beer either. Yeah, I've kind of been switching it up a little bit. Usually I'm pretty much a beer guy, this being my ultimate favorite. It's a Dutch beer called Bavaria, which is almost 9%, but it's a lager, and it tastes really good. And of course I'm Dutch, so I'm extremely biased, but definitely a good beer. But sometimes I just want a little bit of a sweeter taste, thus the cider. So here we are, HTC Vive, almost a month now of ownership. You guys have seen my videos on the HTC Vive. You've seen probably my video yesterday getting my latest addition to the main gaming rig, none other than the EVGA Founders Edition 1080 video card, which I am still just absolutely stunned with, because the performance is just, this is honestly the single best performance jump, and I've done a lot of GPU upgrades over the years, right? This is the single best improvement. Now, part of that had to do with the fact that I was saddled with an AMD R9 290. And it's not that it's a bad card. No, it's just not a great card. And I can honestly say Crossfire is nowhere near as good as SLI in terms of consistency, right? I had my 660 Ti's. I used SLI all the time. SLI gave me 780 GTX performance out of my 660 Ti's, right? And I was never somebody who was susceptible to micro stutters or tearing, so never noticed any of that. But, and I mentioned this in the last video, I can't think of a single game where Crossfire benefited me from. But I can name probably a handful where the experience was worse. Witcher, worse experience. Dark Souls 3, worse experience. Your main guy shimmers, and it just ruins the game. So, just straight raw performance, it's been insane. But that's what I want to talk about. So, had the HTC Vive for about a month. What are my thoughts? And where do I see virtual reality going? All right. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think honestly, the sales don't reflect it, but HTC Vive absolutely trounced Oculus Rift at launch. It is just a better product, start to finish. Controllers, head unit, I mean, every review that I've seen, the HTC Vive comes out favorably. The only exception to that has been Elite Dangerous. And I'm going to talk about that today, because I think a lot of what people complained about with Elite Dangerous had nothing to do with the HTC Vive. It was all their own video cards. And we'll get into the details of that. But what are my thoughts a month later, you know, in terms of the games? Well, to put it simply, Oculus can definitely catch up, and I think they're winning, you know, in terms of raw sales. I think they're double HTC Vive. They have to get that controller out, and they have to get their tracking improved, because everything that I've heard and seen, it's fantastic as a seated experience. But honestly, guys, when you try Room VR, like through HTC Vive, it is hard to go back to just sitting. Even sitting in Elite Dangerous, I'm playing it as a seated experience. Knowing that I can get up and walk around my cockpit is just, and there are times, literally, if I've targeted a planet, say, I will literally get up, stand up, and look around me in the cockpit to see if I can find it. And more often than not, I do find it that way. So, yeah. Oculus needs to get those controllers out. They need to address the tracking, definitely need to address the tracking. And it's going to be interesting, but gameplay wise, unless you're an early adopter like me, I can honestly say there is no real reason to go to VR yet. If you love cockpit games like Elite Dangerous, and you're looking forward to Star Citizen and No Man's Sky, sure, buy it and enjoy it for that game and for those upcoming games, right? But if you want a AAA experience, you're gonna have to hold on. I wouldn't buy a unit yet. I would probably wait about a year. I think by this time next year, so spring 2017, we're going to see a whole different landscape. And I'll revisit this from time to time, and we can see how accurate these predictions are. But I have a feeling that in 2017, the landscape is going to look drastically different. I honestly see the Oculus folks doing an about turn, an about face with their tracking system. I think they realized that they screwed up, and it's going to be interesting to see how they admit that, right? Because I think it's plainly evident that they screwed up with the tracking system, and they screwed up with including one of these. Because if you had used these and then go to something where you're limited by this, it is night and day, folks. It is night and day. The HTC Vive controllers are so damn intuitive, and they just feel so natural that when you've put them in this trigger position here, right, with your finger on the trigger, whatever they become in game, whether it's a rifle, a bow, a sword, like a katana in Hordes, right, the immersion is complete. You look down at your hand, and your grip matches the expectation of your brain, right? You make that visual connection. It is absolutely complete, it's thorough, and it's amazing, right? So, yeah, I honestly see Oculus admitting they effed up and revising their tracking system. So I think they're going to come out with something else, or a substantial improvement that takes into account that first unit, but some kind of second piece of hardware that's going to improve the tracking. So it'll be interesting, but gameplay-wise, you're not going to start seeing AAA titles until next year. I covered Vorpex in one of my videos, and there's also a free version of not Vorpex, but a similar competitor software. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with HTC Vive at this point in time, so I can't really comment on it, but when it becomes compatible, I'll do some more testing. And just know that while VorpX extends the gaming experience, it's by no means complete, right? You are not fooled into thinking Skyrim is suddenly an awesome VR game. It kind of mimics it, right? But it doesn't feel anywhere near as complete as, for example, Vanishing Realm, which is an RPG, a virtual VR RPG that was built from the ground up to be a VR piece. And it plays completely different, right? What hampers Skyrim, and one of the issues with Vorpex in general, is it's bent the graphics to its will, if you will, right? Like, you're kind of mimicking the 3D look, but you're not changing the interface. And that's inherently the problem. For a game like Skyrim, that inventory system, when you warp your field of view to 120 degrees, and then you hit the I button for inventory, right? Even with Sky UI, it just doesn't work. It's not comfortable. So you go into inventory, you have to switch into theater mode if you've got a Vive, right? And then once you've done your inventory stuff, you switch back out of theater mode. It's by no means thorough. It is, you know, you're kind of mimicking it, but you're not fooling anybody. So it's going to take about a year until we start seeing some AAA titles. Hopefully we're going to see some older games get support. That's what I'd love to see, because what you've got then is you benefit from Steam sales, right? You're prolonging the lifespan of a few games. You got to think, by then Doom is going to be what, a year old, right? The new Doom. They come out with some kind of good mod or DLC that, you know, supports VR. you're going to sell that, just as many times again. And I think if we start seeing some innovation like that, that's really going to help VR. But AAA titles are still a ways away. And what you have left, quite honestly, feel like tech demos. So I'm going to list the games. Let's just go through real quick what I have, okay? So 5089, the action RPG. I was misled by a lot of the discussions and reviews of this game because, in my opinion, it's unqualified poop. Haven't even gone back to it. It's just terrible. Audio Shield, absolutely fun, but very, very one-dimensional. It's a music rhythm game, right? Budget Cuts demo. It's a demo. Elite Dangerous, the only AAA title so far, right? It has an awesome VR implementation, completely changes the dynamic of the game. If you are a fan of Elite Dangerous, yes, the HTC Vive is worth owning, if for anything, just that game, right? Horde Z, or Horde Z, Hordes, we'll just call it that, is a realistic kind of survival horror game on rails. Okay, so picture like a Resident Evil style game on rails. That's what you get with Hordes. It is very immersive though, okay? Even when you're swinging your katana around, which is a really easy way to kind of, basically exploit the game, is you turn both of the controllers into katanas and you just basically wave your arms like this, right? Any creatures that come at you get skewered by your katana without you even looking. They've got to improve stuff like that, right? Because when you can cheese the system, it makes it difficult to play it legit, right? Because with a gun, you're having to aim. You can't just stick your hands out. Well, I guess you could spray bullets all over the place, but you're going to miss and they're going to get you. Whereas with the katana, literally just a back and forth like you're treading water motion, and you're skewering every zombie that comes at you, right? But in terms of a game that terrifies, that is the one. If you want to scare the bejesus out of somebody, Hordes is the game for that, all right? Job Simulator, again, tech demo. The Lab, tech demo. Portal Stories VR, tech demo. Project Cars, okay? I found my AC adapter for my Logitech wheel, so I'm going to give that a shot. Apparently it's good, and now that I have an actual decent fast video card, I should be able to play that with the options cranked. I will let you guys know. But so of all the games that I've read so far, and that's been 12 titles, only 2 are what I would consider complete games, right? And that's Elite Dangerous and Project Cars. Realities, tech demo. Space Pirate Trainer, tech demo. Vanishing Realms, it's close to being a complete game, but at this point, I'd still have to say tech demo. Zombie Training Simulator, complete game, more than tech demo, but something that you will quickly grow tired of. It's cute, it's immersive, it's fun, but as soon as you get the most powerful weapon in the game, it's no longer fun. So there you have it. So those are the 14, was that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games that I have, and only 2 I would consider full titles, right? Call of the Starseed, okay? Yes, it's a game, but it's very freaking short, and I would still err towards tech demo because it's not complete, right? So at this point, it's episode 1, and that's it. So there you have it, guys. Let me know if you've got questions. So the next video I'm going to do is going to get into specific games. So let's dig those titles apart. Let's look at Elite Dangerous in a bit more detail, and let's look at Project Cars in a bit more detail. See how they run with the 1080 on the HTC Vive. I'll give you guys my honest opinion. If those are 2 games that you're interested in, like I said, that could be reason enough to own an HTC Vive to at least get you started, right? Because I've always maintained cockpit games are going to be the best natural fit for VR. All right, let me know if you want me to test anything specifically in the comments below, guys. I do read all the comments, and I try to respond to every comment that I can. And I honestly don't mind taking the time to look at stuff. So even if you got what you think is a bizarro request, I'll look into it. All right. As always, guys, till next video, cheers.